It's time, my friends. Finally, we got a balance patch that actually massively improves Luciel. This happens as often as my upload schedule, but we're finally here. Before this patch, I would say that Luciel as a whole is a fine class to play in Elsword, but definitely struggled in some areas, namely consistency in DPS. But this balance patch somehow manages to fix a lot of these problems. How exactly? Well, that's why I'm here. So let's get right into it. First up, we have Aura of Punishment. And of course, we already have a mistake. So let me correct this and explain this to you. What's shown here on the screen and on the official NA website for this skill is wrong. It does not decrease the duration of the buff. What it actually means is the speed at which the buff is applied to yourself has increased significantly. And of course, I have footage to show you all this, so don't worry. Right, so the buff itself is applied a few frames after the skill has been used. Before, the buff would apply after the blue circle effect dispersed from Lu and CL. Now, the buff is applied the moment Lu and CL move, pretty much. So why is this good? Well, faster application means less chance of it being cancelled in the animation, and I'm sure you Luciel mains out there have dealt with your own fair shares of being interrupted when casting it. It's nothing game changing, but it's still good regardless. I also went ahead and tested buffing alloys too, and yes, this buff also applies faster onto them as well. Sure, the animation of the skill is mismatched now, but it's a massive peeve of mine, but it's whatever, I'll take it. Next up, we have Summon Darkness. So, Darkness's attack speed has immensely increased. I say immensely because, yeah. So, I'm going to put these two videos side by side, and you can see the difference in their attack speed, and my god, this guy flails like a freaking baby. He just does not know when to stop. So if anything, this just seems like a damage increase, but you gotta think about the passives that Catastrophe has as well, as it also syncs in with that. So let's take a look at the passive Remnant to Thea. What does it do? It allows Summon Darkness to give you back 2 CP every single time he hits something. And you see how fast he attacks, right? You see where I'm going with this? So if we look at it like this, Darkness will give you back 6 CP every single time you use a combination skill, which is basically on the same level as Innocent using a combination skill and getting back 4 CP. While you have Power of Auriax active, you're getting that insane cooldown reduction, and you're just able to pump out combination skills with that 100% damage boost every like 5 to 6 seconds. You can just use a single switching skill regardless of the MP cost, and Darkness will basically refund you the last bit of CP that you need. Not to mention, the Blueberry himself can hit super hard over time as well. While he's active, you can throw out about 10 combination skills before he actually disappears. So because of this, you can probably bring 4 combination skills if you really wanted to make full use of this. But yeah, this is a buff that I wasn't exactly looking for when it came to Dreadlord and Catastrophe. I mean, their combination skills with the Bravery damage boost is already insane enough as it is. I don't think they really needed more, but hell yeah, more damage is more damage, you can't complain with that, like, at all. Mod Supreme Punishment. Buff slightly in damage and PvE. That's all there is to it. More damage is more damage. And we have Innocent next, who just became fast, like really fast. Okay, so we have Eschaton. Well, for both the regular Eschaton and the mod Eschaton, but both of them have their cast speed affected by attack speed, and the difference between them both is significantly noticeable. When casting it on the ground, you have less recovery frames, but if you cast it in the air, the recovery frames remain untouched. It's definitely an odd change for sure, like, there's no reason not to make the changes consistent, right? But hey ho, more cast speed and less recovery frames means you'll be throwing out the skill left and right like a crazy madman. And on top of that too, to compensate for the speed changes, the time stop has been reduced by 41%. So this is more of a thing in PvP, because if you aren't fully close to the enemy as you're casting Eschaton, they can potentially get out. Next we have Reign of Chaos. So like Eschaton, the cast speed is also affected by attack speed. The evil trait was changed to heavy trait. I mean, evil trait was honestly useless, so the change back to heavy is great because, well, more damage is more damage, which is something I'm going to be saying a lot in this video. Just like with Eschaton, to compensate for the attack speed increase, there will be a 23% time stop reduction on Reign of Chaos, which is again another slight nerf in PvP, but honestly, it's almost impossible to miss the skill if you're right next to them. Next up, Mod Shadowbolt. So the camera zoom has actually increased. It looks rather similar to using a master skill, which only works if the dynamic camera turned off, by the way. Just like with Eschaton, it has faster recovery frames, and the spear generates faster before falling. It's more speed. What more could you ask for at this point? And once again, just like Reign of Chaos and Eschaton, the tower stop duration decreased by 30%, which is again a small nerf, but it doesn't really matter. You're throwing a long spear to impale people, they're going to die. It's fine. And another last quick one, Mod Twilight Judgment. Faster recovery frames when using the skill. It's more speed. What more could you be asking for? And we finally hit the part I've been waiting for a very long time. The Angelian. Let's go. Bloodlust. It now lasts for 20 seconds, which is freaking huge. Like, with Killing Blow 1 now, we get it to 26 seconds, which is really freaking good. Like, it only lasted 10 seconds before. Transforming would probably take off, like, what, 4 or 5 seconds of that. And by the time you're ready to cast a skill, you can cast 2 and the buff is gone. This dramatically helps the class out so much when it comes to DPSing, it's actually insane. As a minor nerf in PvP though, the duration was decreased to 8 seconds. With Killing Blow 1, it makes it 10.4 seconds. Next up we have Mod Bloodlust and Awakened World Demonio. I feel like we need to talk about them both at the same time because they synergize so well with each other. So just like the regular Bloodlust, Mod Bloodlust also lasts 20 seconds, but it still retains a 2.5 HP reduction per second. So if you use it now, you actually lose 50% of your HP. It's even worse with Killing Blow because it makes it 65% of HP that you lose every single time you use it. It seems really bad when using it normally, but this is where Awakened Will comes in. So somebody must have gotten drunk at KOG because Awakened Will in PvE, instead of healing 0.5% HP and 2 MP per second, it now heals a freaking large amount of 10% HP and 20 MP per second when transformed. Like, I don't even know a way to justify this, honestly. This is just insane. Because of that, HP and MP are almost never a problem now when you transform because of the rapid regeneration. The passive allows for much easier use of all of your skills available when transformed and basically almost immortality until like the end of the game. Like outside of raids and, well, I guess end game content. Plus, keep in mind the 30% damage reduction that you get with Codex Gigas as well, like, you just can't die. So how exactly does this link in with Mod Bloodlust? So, the recovery of this updated passive now makes you out-heal the HP loss of Mod Bloodlust, meaning that you can use this in solo content now to boost your DPS to a pretty ridiculous rate actually. If you use it consistently on one enemy, it actually can out-damage the buff that Bloodlust gives you, which is very interesting to use and experiment with. But that's only in the most extreme circumstances. One of the things that I've tried recently is actually using Mod Bloodlust with the regular Ultraviolet and using the regular Abyssal Gate for clearing inside of PvE. And not gonna lie, for a niche build, it's actually kind of fun. So this new Mod Bloodlust and this new Awakened Will can pretty much pave the way to make a whole bunch of new interesting niche builds. Another big one, Ultraviolet, both of them. The transformation animation speed was increased by 82%. Like, am I the only one that was speechless when I saw this? Well, they can transform almost instantaneously now, and it's also affected by attack speed too. Just like with Innocent speed buffs, this massively boosts their DPS, as it avoids one of their many problems, which is setting up to deal maximum damage. It was way too slow if anything, but now that problem's been completely negated. And yes, this also affects PvP. So the speed at which you can transform is so fast now that you can move while they're still being hit stun by the AoE of the attack. And the person caught inside can't do anything because you're just too fast. And to top it off as well, you can even throw out a quick death touch or a Forms of Hell, like before you transform out. It's crazy really. Another one, Transcendence. Just like with Altar of Evil, the transformation speed was increased by a small amount. It was 36%. But it's still fast. Like, considering how fast Transcendence usually transformed, well, back then, 36% makes a huge difference. Everything that I said about Altar of Evil basically applies here too, because they're both transformations and they work basically the same way. But one funny thing that you can do in PvP is push an enemy into a wall and transform and de-transform when you're right next to them. And if you're fast enough, you can hit them with both hits of the explosion. But the timing window for this is really tight, so I wouldn't recommend it unless you're just trying to have a laugh. Yep, there's still more. So we have changes to Thorns of Hell and Abyssal Gate, the non-mod versions. So Thorns of Hell has a 50% cast speed increase, but the hit stun remains untouched. So you can cast that skill and you're able to move way before they're able to like get out of hit stun, which can be kind of helpful, I suppose. Also, using Thorns of Hell for Giant Potion kind of acts like a mini nightmare with decent decent horizontal range, sorry, and relatively okay vertical range. But still, regardless, it's nice and fast, deals relatively decent damage, it's pretty usable. With Abyssal Gates, it had reduced recovery frames on the ground only, just like with Eschaton. But the weird thing is, the majority of the time you want to be using this in the air, because some of the orbs will end up clipping into the floor and you'll actually miss out on some hits. And finally, we have Mod Dark Plasma and Mod Abyssal Gate. Just like with Abyssal Gate and Eschaton, they have their recovery frames reduced, on the ground only, but not in midair. Which is again a little bit annoying, but I'm not going to go through it again because I've already been through it a couple times now. And the final change, which actually surprised me when I found out on stream because it wasn't mentioned in the patch notes, but Elypia's Aura and Eroding Energy, the Force passive skills, they actually work when you're transformed now. Because previously the game assumed that you're in the battle state, so they wouldn't activate, which was really annoying. They'll give you the passive HP and MP increase, but they wouldn't give you the regeneration. But now it's working, which is honestly amazing, it's great. It fixes more of the problems of MP that the Angelion would have, which is great. But now they have 20 MP per second anyway, which is insane. But combined with this passive, yeah, you ain't gonna need to use potions anytime soon. And that's about pretty much everything that was mentioned in the patch notes and what I discovered. Man, these changes honestly were... We needed these so much sooner, but I'm so glad that we did get them eventually because Luciel needed help compared to like every other class that was getting buffs for no reason. But this is great. This is 100% great, and I'm really happy with this. If anything, for the future, I just hope that we don't get nerfed too heavily, considering some of these changes are honestly ridiculous. But hey, again, that's for the future, and we'll come across that as we come across it. But what did you guys think? Were you okay with these changes if you're a Luciel main? Did any of these make you want to try out Luciel? Let me know in the comments below, or heck, even join my Discord if you really want to and talk to me there. And talk to the whole community there actually, we're a loving bunch, we have cookies. I promise our cookies are great. Thank you guys for watching overall though. I'm not going to make any promises on making any future videos because knowing me and my lazy ass, I'm just not going to do them like at all. So yeah, you'll see me when you see me next, but thanks again everybody, until next time.